Tuesday night from 10 on 88 to 91 FM, BBC Radio 2.
Welcome back, Cambridge Jones. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you. And all the better for seeing you in shades at midnight.
At one of the Ramones.
Yeah, Manuel is it's become something of a... Yeah, he only goes by one name, and they say he's the most famous man you've never heard of, which I love. I love that. Immediately I'm interested. And he is a tailor. He literally stitches the clothes, but he specialises in the rhinestone and the embroidery of the great, I was going to say rock and roll, but it's more than that. It goes right back to the Rat Pack, through the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, you know, those jackets they were on the cover. Then Elvis in '68 when he's when he comes back with the comeback special, and he's got that jumpsuit on. Yep. And the gold suit that he made for Elvis, and then it goes, and then the Stones, and then Bob Dylan when he met the Pope. Bob Dylan's met the Pope twice, and on both occasions, if you Google it, you'll see him wearing these amazing suits, both made by Manuel. Because basically, when Bob Dylan knew he was going to meet him, he calls up Manuel. And the beautiful thing, and this goes on, so this goes on right up to the Killers, the White Stripes, Madonna,
How old is
Elton
he?
John. He's, well, it's a bit of a mystery because I've heard him say different things to this, but he's between 70 and 80, so let's say. And he's extraordinary. And I've now been working with him for 10 years now. And I was originally commissioned to do a book on the subjects wearing it. So I go and shoot Brandon Flowers of the Killers in Vegas, and Jack White. So I've got an exhibition of Jack White, as I think I mentioned last time. But this is all related to Manuel. But somewhere along the line, I realised that it's such an extraordinary story. And I can tell you stories about all these different people because you meet them and they tell you their version of Manuel. But somewhere along the line, I thought, I need this. This should be a film. This should be a documentary. And so I got Paul Waring and Peter Barry from the UK to come with me on one trip, sort of speculatively, because I didn't know whether Manuel would let them film or indeed whether they'd think it was worth doing. But it was fantastic. From the moment we literally walked in, when Manuel and I see each other, it's like lost friends, but we walked into a bar and he was he's always with these young girls and lots of tequila. And we walked in and I said, this is Paul and Peter. They want to do this documentary. As you know, I'd emailed him. Not that he reads emails. And basically, I said, can we just start filming now? And for the next 10 days, we went to the Grand Ole Opera, we went to Tootsie's in Nashville, everyone he came in, Little Richard would come in the store. I mean, it's an extraordinary world he lives in where, because he makes their clothes, he sort of gives them their image. He becomes something more, it's almost spiritual. So all of the people I met, I would ask them, tell me a bit about Manuel, because we want all this on film as well, obviously. And I don't know where to start, really. John Travolta, for instance, when he first met Manuel, he was a little boy in LA, and he went into the store, and he'd heard about Manuel making all these clothes for these people, and he said, Manuel, am I a cowboy? And Manuel took out. John Travolta at that time was young and didn't have any money, and he couldn't afford anything in this store. Manuel's suits cost $20,000 a pop. They're not.
He's
cheap.
a rich old man.
Well, no. The funny thing is, he's not particularly, because the reason he's the most famous man you've never heard of is because he just lives life and he doesn't do business. He goes, okay, that'll come. Everybody come round. We'll all have lots of tequila and meals, and then he's got none the next week. So then he needs Madonna to come back and order another suit or whatever it is. But to John Travolta was extraordinary because he meets this young boy. John Travolta says, am I a cowboy? Manuel takes a bandana off the store thing, ties it around his neck and said, you are now. And then about 20 years later, Manuel's making the costumes he's made them for everything. Do you remember Robert Redford, the Electric Horseman?
Yeah.
But he was doing, is it Urban Cowboy John Travolta did later? Something he was working on. And he meets John Travolta, and he somehow knows who it is, but he doesn't think he'll remember him. And John Travolta, the minute he sees Manuel, he says, I'm going to take you somewhere after we finish filming. Takes him back to his apartment in LA. Tied around the bed is the bandana. And that is the extraordinary thing about Manuel. He's somehow spiritually connects with these people just at the moment. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just at the moment that their careers are taking off. And it goes on and on. Dwight Yoakam, country.
Yeah.
So Dwight Yoakam was Manuel's UPS, the courier, delivery boy, and he'd come round to the shop each time and he'd think, I need a piece of this. I need this magic star, and it is stardust because he uses rhinestones on everything. They call him the rhinestone Rembrandt. And so we're very, very lucky that we're halfway through making this documentary about something that most people have never heard of, and I could literally fill the hour with stories about Elvis or the Beatles, or they go on and on. And the other very, very moving thing is when I get the chance to interview the people sort of one-to-one, because he's played such an important part as their career tends to have taken off. Because if you think about it, if you're a manager of some new star and you know they're just about to make it, that's when you go and spend a lot of money on it. And so Manuel's kind of always there just as they're taking off. And they just start crying, some of them. I mean, some of the people I know because I've been to Nashville a lot, but listeners may not know them so well in the UK, but people like Little Jimmy Dickens, who's a kind of classic Nashville Opry, in the dressing room at the Grand Ole Opry after I'd finished talking to him, was just in tears because Manuel had basically given him the suit because he didn't have enough money at the time.
Aww.
And said, pay me back one day. And that's just typical of the heart of the man. I mean, I sort of just fell in love with his soul as much as anything. He's an extraordinary spiritual man.
And what's he like to watch working? I mean,
that's really fascinating because he knows about a world which is dying out, of the embroidery and the cloth. And he was taught. Actually, he'll always say the British were the greatest embroiders, and our understanding of with all the cotton and Manchester and Liverpool, and he will often refer back to the fact that we have the technique, and he was taught, and I'm ashamed to say I can't remember the lady's name, by a very, very famous lady who'd gone over to LA. And there's a full circle here, because we're working with Emma, who's going to put a show on in Liverpool of all these suits at the Liverpool Museum, which is the kind of British music city, if you like, and Nashville's music city, and we're hoping we'll sort of bring the film out at the same time as all of that. So it's been an amazing journey.
So that's going to be at the new museum, is it?
Have you seen that?
I haven't. I've been to going.
It's unbelievable.
I've been outside. Just never had time.
You've got to.
But I will go.
It blew me away.
I'm in there. Apparently, press a button and I talk about growing up.
Do you is that in the music section?
Must be, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It blew me away. I thought, whoa! I've not seen a museum.
It's stunning design as well.
Yeah,
I love it.
And so hopefully that's where we'll have the sort of all the costumes of because they've got loads of them in the Country Music Hall of Fame and stuff. I'm now a complete Nashville fan. Do you watch Nashville on telly as well?
Is that with what's that girl? Hayden.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I can't remember her name.
She's good, isn't she? I have not committed to the whole season. My daughter loves it.
Right, I'm not coming back till you commit to Nashville.
Now we're going to talk about photographs. You'd think we'd planned this. Blondie, picture this.